Well, and you know as well as
Well, it's 6 o'clock, time to begin our special meeting of the Allen County Public Library Board of Trustees. And thank you all for coming out, and this is also being live streamed. I see that our secretary is not here, so let me recognize the roll, those that are in attendance: Paul Moss, Jim Williams, Kent Castleman, Marty Seifert, and I am present too. This is a special meeting to discuss, to review, to get public comment on the facilities master plan draft. And let me underscore the word draft. Nothing is in stone. We are still taking comments, suggestions. And for those that are here that wish to speak, there's a sign-up sheet right behind me. So if you'd be so kind, we'll be able to take you in order. And also, we're getting comments over live stream that someone will read, correct?
Correct.
Kurt. Okay. Thank you for volunteering, Kurt. All right, so let me turn the meeting over to our executive director, who will walk us through the master plan draft.
Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you for coming, everybody. I'm thrilled to see such a great crowd here this evening, and thank you to all watching from home. I am Susan Beyer. I'm the Executive Director here at the Allen County Public Library, and the board has asked me to talk about the public comment we have received so far on our facility master plan draft. So it has been a very busy 2 months. It's been about 2 months since our draft has been out in the world with our options and recommendations for folks to take a look at and let us know what they think. If you haven't seen it already, you can find the draft in its full form at youracpl.org, youracpl.org. And also, for those of us here in the room today, there are print copies on the table back there next to the sign-in sheet. So we asked for your feedback, and everybody delivered, and we are so grateful for that. So we had a public survey out for several weeks. We received over 1,300 completed surveys. We had 5 open houses at our branch libraries with 108 in attendance. Our library staff have had a very busy 2 months. We have been speaking at many community meetings, including the area quadrant neighborhood meetings and association meetings. We've had numerous op-ed pieces in the Journal Gazette and other television interviews and pieces, and we're grateful for our media coverage. And there have also been numerous emails to the trustees and to me. We are so grateful for all of that feedback. I also want to give a special shout out to our staff who helped with the open houses, who provided their perspective as staff at the libraries, some of whom have worked in these buildings for over 40 years. So that experience is invaluable, and we're really grateful for their generosity in sharing it. So we learned, and we knew this, but this proved it, Allen County residents, they love their library, and they also love to share their thoughts about it. And what's wonderful about a diverse county like Allen County is that we have a lot of diversity in thought. So let's share some comments that came from our survey. And if you ever fill out a survey and think, I don't know if anybody's looking at this, I don't know if I'm just typing into a black hole, I can assure you that with this survey, all of your comments were looked at by our Board of Trustees, by me, by our consultants, and we appreciate the time you put into it, and we take them very seriously. So let's talk about diversity of thought in our comments. And this is straight verbatim from our survey, comments we received from patrons. I hope physical books are still the priority. Technology is great, but nothing beats holding a book. I care less about technology options. Those will be quickly obsolete, and more emphasis should be on printed materials. We need to have high-quality books everywhere. With ebooks becoming more common, this seems like a strange time to expand the library's physical spaces. Would prefer to see a wider selection of ebooks made available. Please get with the electronic age and make more books available on Kindle. I call these slides the yes and slides. Another example, please do not lose sight of any library's primary purpose, which I believe is to house materials. Those materials should not be discarded to make more space for meetings. Please include plenty of small conference room and tutoring room space. I'm also wondering if you can incorporate using outdoor space in your plan at several of the branches. So I included these comments because I feel this is a really important reminder of the different needs and priorities of our community, of our patrons. But the thing is, I really believe these needs can complement each other and not compete with one another. I say yes, and we can do both. And I believe we're already doing both and doing both well, but with expanded and enhanced facilities, with new buildings, we can take that to a completely different level. So going forward, the chapter ahead, we're creating a roadmap for the future with equitable and accessible library service for all of Allen County, incorporating the feedback we received in a fiscally sound manner. And I have slides for each library and a selection of comments that were received about those libraries from the open houses and from the survey. So it's not an exhaustive list, obviously, but I went through all of them pretty painstakingly, and I picked out comments that I thought really embodied the feel of what we got for each of our locations. I feel like the comments that we're seeing tonight really reflect the diversity of views on these different locations. So let's start with our Aboyt Branch, and we did have an open house there with a really interesting discussion. It was built in 1990. It's a little over 13,000 square feet. It has 37 parking spots. And that's an important number, 37 parking spots. Therein lies some of our difficulty. Things we heard about Aboyt. So small and looks so 90s. Well, it was built in 1990, so there you go. Packed to the gills with books and people. It doesn't feel like a place to linger. Another comment, would hate to see the location changed a great distance. Right now, it is very conveniently located for me. New and larger building with better parking. When I have used the overflow parking, I feel like I am taking my life in my hands trying to cross the street with children. We heard that a lot. Please give Aboyt a new building. I just want to emphasize that. Slowly falling off a cliff is not a good way for a library to be. I feel like that is something that we can all universally agree upon, yes. And that is one of the concerns with Aboyt, that structural problem with it falling into a ravine. We also had an open house at our DuPont branch. It was built in 1990. We did get an expansion in 1996. It's 18,000 and change square feet with 56 parking spots. What we heard there, larger parking lot or in a different location so that the building could be bigger. It is always so busy. I wish they had a bigger children's area as well. We heard a lot of that, particularly with Aboyt. It is so heavily used by young families, and they want a colorful, engaging, stimulating children's area. I wholeheartedly support moving the DuPont branch. The parking lot is incredibly dangerous, and the collection isn't safe with the roof leak. It is also a heavily used branch, so it should have space and a larger collection to reflect that. If this branch has to be relocated to fit the master plan, please only consider moving it if a building property is available within a mile of the branch. The only reason we visit as often as we do is because of its location. We can walk there. And that is a theme we heard quite a bit throughout this process. Patrons might understand some of the challenges that a particular building presents us, whether it's age, lack of accessibility, parking limitations, but also they really like that location. They find that location very convenient. It's next to major retail, it's next to schools, it's next to walking paths, and they don't want to lose that convenience. The Georgetown Branch, again, another site for one of our open houses. It was built in 2004, 19,500 square feet with 48 parking spaces. Things we heard. Georgetown is in need of space, especially space that is specific to ages and community needs. The meeting room is currently split between after-school teenagers, story times, free lunches, library programs, meetings, job fairs for USPS, and more. If there could be a space just for the public, just for children, just for teens, and just for programming, that could alleviate some of the issues. And that really embodies what our libraries are today, spaces for so many different things. While a whole new site is highly favorable based on current issues with expansion and parking on the site, as discussed in option B in the branch findings, there's a very real need to accommodate a significant population of school-age children in that area who are currently able to easily walk directly from school to the library. Renovate the Georgetown location. Do not sell and close the location. Many Fort Wayne Community School students use this location. It's been a staple in the Georgetown area for many years. It would be unfortunate to lose this location. And with Georgetown, so many of our comments and our feedback centered around the proximity to schools, how children walk there after school. It's a safe space for them, and they want to preserve that. But also, they understand that children and middle school students and teens have particular needs, and how can we design our building and zone it to where they have a space where they can be active, and also there are other spaces in the library that can be more quiet. There's the challenge there. Our Grable branch, and we were also out there for an open house. It was built in 2005, 7885 square feet with 42 parking spots. We heard that area is growing, so it makes sense to make the building a bit bigger at this time. Dull lighting, not a good separation of space. The kids are loud in the little computer lab in the front. There you go again with concerns about how we need spaces for all ages and all activities, but how to make sure that we still preserve that quiet with the spaces for active learning. I love this comment. I saw a horse buggy park there once. Great that you make space for alternative transportation. And with gas prices, maybe we'll all be with horses and buggies soon. And also implement creative labs and opportunities. And we heard that quite a bit. So currently our main library and our Georgetown library have what we call maker labs, which are creative spaces where people can use 3D printers and laser cutters and maybe record something in a sound booth. And they're very popular. They're used by all ages, by youth, and also by entrepreneurs who are maybe trying to prototype an invention. But people would like to see those facilities at many more of our libraries and not just two. Our Hessen Castle branch was built in 1972. It was renovated in 2004, almost 12,000 square feet with 44 parking spots. What we heard, this library is needed where it is. A bright, shiny new branch to replace Shawnee and Hessen Castle would be wonderful. Both of those branches are old and gloomy. This branch has felt dated since I was a kid. Could be exciting to see Shawnee and this property go away for something new, which was one of our options. Would be good for the south side of town. The HC certainly needs renovated, and I hope an outdoor natural play area is added. I would be so sad to have a library not within walking distance. Plus, there is a charter school being built in Village Woods, and I'm sure they would love that as a resource. Our Little Turtle branch, built again in 1972, renovated in 2006, a little over 13,000 square feet with 55 parking spaces. We heard Little Turtle needs a room for children's programs that isn't carpeted. As a former children's librarian, I completely agree with that, and doesn't compete with the public on meeting room space. I like this branch, but its flow and setup are not ideal. You have to walk through the computer area to get to anything else. Convenient location near housing and other services. Make us bigger and brighter. We need the library in our area. Our Monroeville branch was built in 2003. It's about 8,500 square feet with 19 parking spaces. Would love to see updates regarding the children's area. We've heard that quite a bit tonight. This is an important piece for families to actually use the library versus pick up books and leave. That is another common theme that we heard, that families want experiences. I think particularly since we're just coming off a 2-year period where maybe we weren't going as many places, families really want a place where they can be. They want that destination. So not just to come and pick up the books for a transactional thing, but also a place to play and a place to linger. Adequate for population served. Layout could be improved. Our New Haven branch was built in 2003, 10,500 square feet with 31 parking spaces. Renovating the New Haven Library branch and the reconfiguration of the children's space and teen area would be extremely beneficial. The children need individual spaces for reading and exploring books. Scattered reading nooks would allow children to engage in reading inside the library and transform the space into a stay-in experience, not just check out books. Again, with that destination placemaking. Definitely needs upgrades to flooring, lighting, and technology. More meeting spaces would be nice too. I agree with the assessment on the building. The windows are gorgeous, but cause sunshine glare several times a year. The building feels old and worn on the inside, and we do need more outlets and more updates there. I think the building also needs another study room. Our Pontiac branch was built in 2004, 10,500 square feet with 43 parking spaces. We heard the door is indeed far from the parking lot. That was in the assessment of the building in our plan. The architecture is very pretty at Pontiac, so I hope we can maintain that. This library tends to be very noisy. Maybe something could be put into place to separate those who are reading or working on computers who need quiet time from the kids playing. Again, we've heard that quite a bit tonight. The play area is fun for kids, needs better lighting and a more functional layout. Our Shawnee branch. So Shawnee was another one of the locations where we had an open house, and both of our options had Shawnee closing but being replaced, either with an expansion at the Waynedale and Hessen Castle locations to compensate for the closure of Shawnee, or to close Shawnee and Hessen Castle and build a brand new 25 to 30,000 square foot library in the southeast area. And understandably so, there were a lot of thoughts about these options. So it was built in 1973, renovated in 2003. It's 11,200 square feet with 22 parking spots. We heard a lot. Do not close this branch. It is an architectural gem. The mid-century style is a beauty to behold. So few of these buildings are still in use and open to the public. Don't throw this away for progress. The Shawnee branch needs a new building that would ideally be as close to its current location as possible. I would not recommend closing Hessen Castle, but would still relocate Shawnee to a new, larger location without accessibility issues and with expanded meeting spaces. This branch serves a population that likely couldn't easily travel to another library. It's such an asset to the neighborhood. It's also an incredible resource for the students at Bishop Luers. It would be a great disservice to the neighborhood to eliminate the branch. Even if a new location is built, it will likely cause an issue with accessibility for an already underserved population. Shawnee is the branch I visit most often when not going to the main library. I grew up there and have fond memories. However, I know the building is outdated and I know it's not accessible. There are significant ADA challenges at Shawnee. I welcome a new, different, better facility on the south side of Fort Wayne in spite of my attachment to Shawnee. I am all for progress. Our Tecumseh branch, built in 1928, renovations in 1990 and 2005, 11,500 square feet with 42 parking spots. What we heard, parking isn't convenient. It's split in two areas. I would absolutely concur with that. It is not convenient. Having to walk from the large parking area all the way around to the front of the building is really bothersome. Again, access issues. I would love for the entrance to be on the other side of the building so I can park and walk in without extra navigation. I would enjoy another table or sitting space separate from other patrons for reading and working. I would bring my laptop to avoid sitting on the long table of computers. I don't want to be elbow to elbow with others while I work. Way, way too small. Parking is so bad we won't use it even though it's the closest. Our Waynedale branch was built in 1972, renovation and expansion in 2005, 13,300 square feet with 59 parking spaces. I like the front meeting room, but it could be bigger and have better lighting. Should have a space for the after-school crowd. Waynedale is another great location and well organized. I would like to see what an expansion can do for this branch. I've been here for programs, really needs to be updated, but it seems big enough. The parking lot confuses me here as well. I know it now, but I never would have known there was a back lot if I hadn't had it shown to me. I'm curious, did you all know there was a back lot to Waynedale?
some years ago. Did not know that at first.
Yeah, some of us did not realize that as well. Our Woodburn branch, it was built in 2003, 8,200 square feet, 33 parking spaces. We heard that it definitely could use more meeting room space, lovely branch, and small town branches are the best. Which I love that comment. So finally, we'll talk about our main library, built in 1968, expansion and renovation in 1979 and 2007, 367,000 square feet and 125 on-site parking spaces. Lots of thoughts on the main library. What we heard, main library reminds me of an airport. I've heard that a few times. It isn't welcoming or friendly, especially for people who have a difficult time walking. I want to see Maine receive the least priority. It receives some of the most recent renos in the system, and it's already more state-of-the-art than most of our branches. Improve wayfinding, perhaps combining all nonfiction on one floor. Less showpiece, more function. More books, bigger hold space so you can allow more holds per person, more maker space, meeting space, more books. I'd like to see a variety of exhibits in the gallery, maybe special opening events or artist receptions with music, DJs, food, bar, or coffee. Would love to see a new coffee, bakery, sandwich shop. And I do have to say, I'm going to editorialize a bit. I love the DJ idea. I'm all about it. I think that would be amazing. So DJs out there, library director at acpl.info. Send me an email. Well, I'd love to make that happen. So we had thousands of comments, and I read every one of them. And we found some major themes. Those themes, responding to the growth in Huntertown and the Northwest, and also ensuring we have equitable service in the Southeast. And there was a quote from a survey respondent that I thought embodied that beautifully. Don't take anything away from the South Side. Figure out how to expand there and elsewhere. That yes and that I talk about. Sure, there is booming growth out north and west, but the South Side is where the need is highest and provides the most opportunity to serve. And already we are seeing renewed growth in certain areas of the South Side of town. Another important theme, and we heard this in many of our comments, accessibility and ease of use, especially for seniors, people with disabilities, and parents, caregivers with young children. Here's a quote that embodies this. I love the idea of updating all the branches with drive-through drop-offs where they are able to add them. I also love the idea of drive-through services, like being able to pick up a hold. I can't tell you how hard it is as a mom with little kids to get into the library sometime. We also heard about the importance of proximity to schools, walking and bike paths, retail centers, and bus routes. Location, location, location. Even if a building has its challenges structurally and with access, patrons understand that, but they also see that location as key. One of the questions on our survey was, how likely are you to support a bond for the Allen County Public Library to renovate, expand, and/or build new buildings and facilities? And of those who responded, we had about 70% say that they would be very likely or likely to support a bond. With any survey, you're going to get all kinds of comments. Some were not directly related to buildings, which that was fine. We appreciated those as well. And they tended to have three categories as well. And I wanted to address them because they came up enough. I felt like it was worth talking about tonight. We heard about collections and materials. There were comments about how some people would like to see a certain type of book, a genre, more available at a certain branch. I want to assure everybody, those comments, I ensured those got to the right people in our organization. I sent those to our branch managers and to our collection development staff. They love getting that kind of feedback. It helps them a lot, so be assured that your comments got to the right people. We also heard a lot of comments about programs and the missing programs and winter programs coming back, and I'm delighted to report that in-person programs are back in business. We started last week We have a really robust programming schedule, and we've heard that attendance already has been very, very strong. So if you haven't checked it out, you can go on our website and see a calendar of events, and we also have paper calendar of events for March, April, and May in our libraries that you can pick up. We also heard concerns about hours. And again, I'm delighted to report that starting next week, our hours will be back to quote unquote normal, what they were pre-pandemic. Like many agencies, we did struggle with COVID-related staffing shortages. We are just so grateful that COVID seems to be in our rearview mirror and we are moving forward. So starting next week, you'll see the hours that you know and love, with the main library opening at 9 in the morning and closing at 9 at night. Earlier today, I was at my mother's assisted living facility, and one of the staff members there stopped me and said, "I'm so glad next week you're going to open my library back up at night again." She lives close to Tecumseh. So we heard you, and we thank you for your patience as we navigated through the pandemic, and we are thrilled to be back fully in business with our hours as of next week. So tonight, there's an opportunity for people to share their comments and thoughts, either in the chat if you're watching at home, or here in person. If you haven't signed up to speak, there's a sign-in sheet right there. Our next regular board meeting will be Thursday, March 24th at 3 p.m. right here. And then our special board meeting to receive the final facility master plan is Thursday, April 7th at 3 p.m., again, right here. You can attend those meetings in person, or you can watch them live streamed on YouTube. And there is still time to send your thoughts about our facility master plan options. Again, you can read the plan in its entirety at youracpl.org. You can send those thoughts to trustees@acpl.info and or to me at librarydirector@acpl.info. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's turn it over now to the chair of our facilities master plan. And let me get the sign-up sheet. Does anyone else want to sign up?
Okay, and I do encourage anyone who wants to make a comment, please sign up. We'd love to hear from you, so feel free.
Here you go, Marty.
All right. You got those for me? Thank you, Ben. All right, well, first, I just want to say thank you, and again, I'll reiterate to those online, those here. We do have the plan sitting out there. We've been trying to get it out to the public, anybody who's interested in reading it, for several months now. And if you haven't had a chance to read it, it's available at youracpl.gov. For those here, we have a copy right over there, which presents, again, as Ben said, the draft of the plan, kind of the discussion starter, what we want to talk about, and what we've been talking about, and what we are getting comments back from everyone. First, I just want to say thank yous to Susan, one, for her presentation, putting this together. I did also read all the comments in the survey. I've heard from some people. I've went to all the open house meetings that were held as well, and trying to just read all the comments. As Susan said, it's diverse. There is different opinions out there about what we should do, and we've been listening to them. So I wanted to say thank you, Susan, for the presentation. Thank you very much to our community who did the survey, provided comments to us. We appreciate you taking the time to review the plan and taking your time to do that. We know your time is valuable and appreciate all those efforts. We've heard the praise, and we've heard the concerns and the criticism of the plan. And we are taking that into account and just trying to do the best job we can for the entire community. As you might imagine, Susan has said it best, there's a yes and to this, but we do need to make some decisions here, and that's why we need to hear from people in order to make those decisions. I really thought the major theme slide was very important. We are trying to respond to all of these things. We definitely want to respond to growth in the Huntertown, the Northwest. We definitely want to have equitable service in the Southeast. It's important for accessibility and ease of use. We've heard that loud and clear from some people. For some of our locations, and that's important. The parking is an issue for some people at some of our locations, and that's important. Location, location, location. The biggest theme I think most of us have heard is, well, if you do replace the branch, where's it going to go? And that is an issue that we have not decided. We can't really decide that yet till we see if our community agrees that they want to do this. And that's, as I think we'll discuss here in a second, we'll come to a vote at some point. But Susan put in here themes that we've talked about and came through loud and clear in the survey was proximity to schools, walking and bike paths, retail centers, bus routes. All those things are, I guess, the criteria we're going to need if we do go down this road and have different locations for some of our branches. So again, thank you to everyone who attended all those. It's obvious our community loves this library and our librarians and loves the services we provide. Now it's just kind of we have to move forward and try to make these decisions. The timeline, we had the slide up there. Next regular board meeting is March 24. Again, always open to the public in this same room. And again, we live stream all of these now. We invite anybody to be there. Special board meeting to hear the updated plan will be April 7. And again, we'll be in this room. Our facility master's plan consultants will be providing that to us. And hopefully we'll be moving forward to make a decision. Then the timeline is if we do make that decision to approve a recommendation and do a bond resolution, as I understand it, the process then is presented to the Elections Commission, and we anticipate under the process that it will be ultimately be placed on the ballot, which would be the regular elections in November. So I just want to make sure people understand kind of that's the process as we move forward. We are always going to maintain the website at youracpl.gov. Try to add .org. I keep saying that wrong. And add additional information as warranted. As Susan said, if you want to receive any updates, please enter your contact information on there. You can also write to the trustees at acpl.info or library director at acpl.info to express your supports, provide additional comments, criticism. We want to hear from you. Please get that out there. With that, as I said in some of the open houses, I've been an avid user of the library since I came to this town in 1992. Grown to love and appreciate everything we do, and it's obvious to me our community does too. That's the one thing that came through loud and clear over these years and through this survey and all the discussions we've had. Personally, I think it's time to grow to meet the needs of our community, and I just want to make sure we have all of our comments from our patrons and everyone else we can as we make those decisions. I guess in the agenda is we need to move forward to public comment, and I have that up here. We also have a board discussion if anybody, board members would like to have any comments or questions before we get to public comments. Please let me know now. Otherwise, we'll move on to public comments. Anything else?
Are we allowed to add discussion in after public comment as well?
That is up to your president, Mr. Eisbar.
Once I catch my breath, I'll give you an answer.
All right. Let's go ahead with the public comments then. We have 5 people who have signed up. I'm just going to call them in the order of the signed up. Linda Schlatter, could come on up. Somebody make sure the microphone is turned on for her. Okay.
Yes, my name is Linda Schlatter, and I am here for the Huntertown Historical Society. And Huntertown does not have a library. And so our problem is our Historical Society has always been putting together history of prominent people in our area, such as Gump, and they're big books. I mean, they're not just little pamphlet. 3 ring binders of Gump, Warner, Hillegas, all prominent people that were Mr. Hunter that built Huntertown. And so in these books are pictures, obituaries, tombstones. We have, and I put together, we probably have 100 of those books, 100, and or more. And we also have Huntertown High School yearbooks. Our problem is we don't have any place to put these books because we don't have a library. I understand that, this main library is the genealogy department, I have been coming down here for years, hoping to put these books together. I know I sit and do a lot of times. And I try to come once a week. The last 2 years, I haven't been down here. But, so we have 100 of these books, but no place to put. So if we had a space, even in, you know, if you're going to be putting a library out northwest somewhere, we'd like to have a space where we can display these books. We don't want them to be like checked out. But, you know, they can go and look at their family. A lot of families back then married each other. Gumps, McCombs, you know, families married each other. So they could go and, you know, check out their family history. And they came from Germany. Right now I'm working on one that's come from Russia. Ruderman. They had a fruit stand a long time ago in Huntertown. And so the Historic Society even was so interested in the people in Huntertown, we created a book, 150 Years of Huntertown. And it shows all the old stores, gas stations. Huntertown had a lot of gas stations. And cemeteries, churches, even the schools. We had a lot of schools. And so, and these are, we have about 10, 12 of these pictures. I brought these because this is Dr. Greenwell. Somebody painted, this house is still standing in Huntertown. Still standing in Huntertown. He was a doctor. And we don't have any space to put these. They're in storage. They're beautiful. This is the Hunter House, Mr. William Hunter, the one that Huntertown is named after. This is a beautiful house. It's on Gump Road, still standing. Still looks like that. And I brought these pictures because even if we had a little space or a corner or a room, this is Hilliard's house. And it's kind of near the Huntertown Bank. And if you knew Dick Floria back a couple years, he lived in this house. That's on Gump Road. So even if we, I wanted to show these beautiful pictures because even if we had a space or a corner, I'd like to have these pictures displayed on, you know, a wall in our area, and rather than just locked up. This beautiful stuff is all locked up. 100 of these books. Nobody can, you know, we do a book every month, and it's put in storage. So I just wanted to bring some props and show you, you know, that's, you know, we're still busy. We're still going and still busy doing our work. So thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Linda. We really appreciate you coming up. Thank you. All right. Next was Robert Alfeld. Looks like your branch is Little Turtle, is that right?
That is correct.
All right.
Well, actually, I think this, so you can hear me.
We're going to take a technical break for a moment.
Okay, sorry. One moment, Mr. Alfeld.
No problem.
All right, do we need him to take the other microphone then, or?
You can speak into this.
Sure.
Okay.
That'll be probably easier.
Stuck in it.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I gotta scoot over a
There
little.
you go.
I don't know how many people have seen Beyond Books, Allen County's public library history, 1895 to 1995. It is perhaps, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's in every library. This one's Little Turtles. You have one upstairs. Just the history of how the branches began, it's just really wonderful. And it actually gives you an idea where branches all came from. What struck me was how when the branches came about, how the neighborhoods were decided on. Well, why do we want branches? Well, we want branches because they represent that neighborhood, and it's a place they can go and feel and learn. What's interesting is how it used to be the Fort Wayne Library, and then it became the Allen County Library because we had agriculture, and they thought, well, we have these book trucks going out and giving books. It'd be nice if they had that. So it's grown. I've been to 12 out of the 14 libraries. Sorry, I never made it to Grable. Never made it to Monroeville, but I've been in every one. I've checked every one, checked books out. The Pontiac Branch, I actually went to the Pontiac Branch when it was on Pontiac Street. I might be giving my age away, but it's what it is. I do want to talk about the Shawnee, just dropping it in your ear. It is a great library. If it does anything, it represents what neighborhood libraries, branch-wise, we're meant to be. I just believe that. What I came here, though, to bring up is the little turtle. I know it's understood that the little turtle was built in 1972, but actually it was built in 1950. That used to be the Kroger Company. And it was purchased. You can actually find it in this wonderful book. They got it for like about $110,000, and then they borrowed it for a couple of years before they put it into service. I think it was 1972 for certain, somewhere around there, 73. But that's the second oldest library, branch library in the system. The other one's Tecumseh, built in 1923. So we're looking at renovations, or looking at buildings. I'm not certain what you could expand at the Little Turtle. It doesn't, the upstairs is not accessible, and I don't think we want to have librarians sitting up there watching kids if they go up there. That wouldn't make much sense. A single floor makes more sense. But, and also looking at the cost of the Aboyt, and I agree, DuPont, that's a challenge in the parking. But DuPont, Aboyt knows, it seems to me we could go a little bit smaller, maybe 20,000, 25,000, and then add on later. That would save some money, because you're talking between 95 to 125 million. That's during these times might be a little bit challenging, and I know that goes on to the property tax. I also might point out I do like the Hessen Castle, where it's located and how it fits in the neighborhood, and it's part of all these. I mean, if you've been around to all of them, you just get a sense of what makes them special to their neighborhood and the people in them, why they go to them. But I want to bring those points up, and in your deliberation, at least give that some thought. And that's all I've got. Thank you. You want to handle it?
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, next, Cornelia Schultz.
Hello. All right.
We're here.
Seems to work. Okay, so I'm here speaking on behalf of Shawnee. I live on Harrison Boulevard, so that's in the 07. And I just have a few thoughts that I'd like to share. So I have to admit, I come to this library all the time, and I love it. And also, I can't lie because Seifert is next to Schultz, and when I go and pick up my books, I know Marty's books are right next to them, and so yes, I think when the main library was how do I want to say it, renovated. I know the narrative in Fort Wayne is that the Tin Cap Stadium was the agent for change. I really think it was the library. So I want to.
I agree.
I want to look at it in a little bit of a different way than the survey allowed me to talk to the changes. And I would like to see a library in my area as an agent for change. So not just as a place to be used, but what else could it mean for the area that I live in? So the zip code is 46807. We have roughly 14,500 people live there. This is according to the 2020 census. 12 out of the 25 most densely populated neighborhoods in Fort Wayne are in this area. And simultaneously, there are discussions about sidewalks. You probably saw that. I actually had my first letter to the editor in the Journal Gazette. I felt very good about myself. But city promised to fix our sidewalks. And for our neighborhoods in the so-called 07, but also when you think north of Pettit, that would definitely include Pettit Rudisill neighborhood, because I mean, I walk over there, ride my bike there. Our biggest asset is walkability, and that children can actually walk to school. We have in that area, we have 6 elementary schools and 2 high schools. And we have a big lot on 800 West Rudisill that when I did the calculations, you could walk from, the furthest would be from Bishop Lewis now, that would be a 20-minute walk. For all of the other ones, it would be a 10 to 15-minute walk to go from the elementary school or to the high school to the library. So I would just say that, and I think that's what I hear from people that went to the Shawnee open house. I had to save the Bluffton Bridge, can't be everywhere, sorry, but I do think that that's very important to us. That's more important for the people than more parking lots. So I just want to lobby to have that in consideration. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Cornelia. Next, Sean Smith. Where you at, Sean? Oh.
Speaking on behalf of Georgetown Library, it's been an asset for our association. I'm the president of our association, and we use the meeting room all the time. And all our board members, which are younger than me, have children, and they go there during the summer when they can to the reading room. They really appreciate it. And our association would like to keep this library in where it's at because it's within walking distance. Like she was saying, you know, it's a 20-minute walk for us there. Plus there's several schools within walking distance. And I think it's fairly modern. Maybe it could just be simply remodeled. And as far as parking, there's plenty of parking because Georgetown, that whole area, just because it's right there where you say 40 parking spots, there's parking everywhere there where Kroger is and several of the other stores, so there's plenty of parking. Now expanding is, I know, difficult in that area because it's landlocked, but I would like to see the library stay in that location because everybody just loves it. So that's my comment. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next, Pamela Martin Diaz.
Hello again.
Hi.
Thanks for another opportunity to address you. I really appreciate the time and energy that everyone in this room has spent on this project. I have more of a question than a comment, and it has to do with process. You mentioned that the final facility master plan will be presented on April 7th. Is that when you say final, does that mean it'll be A or B or a combination of the both that they will give to you? And if so, what kind of input will you have had with them before the presentation of the final plan? And what kind of input will we have after the final plan is presented to further discuss, whatever it may be? I'm just really not clear about the process and would appreciate clarification if, in fact, this is a good time to do that.
Okay, sure. I think as I'm thinking it through, the final presentation again is on April 7. I think the board tonight and then also probably at the meeting on March 24 will very well possibly discuss some of the features and kind of what the comments have been. I'm in contact with the consultants as well. They've seen all the comments. They did the survey and are reading through that, and they're going to kind of give us their analysis based on that as well. So I want to hear all the comments we can now and between now and March 24. Right now, our thinking is on April 7 that we probably will take a vote on the plan, at least not the plan, I guess on the bond amount that we're going to request from the community. Because, frankly, timing-wise, we have to get started with the process in order to actually be on the ballot in November. And so we kind of have a timeline where all we're really going to vote on, though, ultimately is the bond amount that we're requesting. The plan is what we're planning on doing. We're going to hear comments. This is going to be a 6-year process. Once if the community approves it, it's going to be a 6-year process to do anything. We're going to start with some projects, and then we're certainly going to be looking for community input really up until we're build the last one.
I'm just thinking it might be hard to garner the necessary support if there's a bond issue amount, but we don't know what we're going to look for money for. I'm a Shawnee partisan, so
Yeah.
have a particular interest
Yeah.
in that. And the last when we had a bond, I was a librarian and, got lots of signatures in support of the renovation, but we knew what we were asking people for in terms of money. So it's not, if we just ask for money without really knowing the plan, it's not clear to me how that would work, but maybe this is a discussion you'll be having over time.
This is a discussion. This is a discussion we've been having.
I'm sure.
Because it
Welcome to
is.
public funding.
Yeah.
And I'll say that too.
Say it again?
Welcome to public funding.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very hard
Yeah.
on that end. It's being a member of the committee, it's one of the challenges that we have is how much do we spend of library resources we currently have to build out designs and build out all kinds of things that might not ever get funded by the public? Then that's just a waste of public dollars if they never get funded. So that's a challenge on that end of it. But for us, it's really the buy-in of the large concept, I guess if I want to say it that way.
Right.
That-
I see it as an investment. Do we, as a community, want to invest in this? Because I see it as moving forward to the extent we build it, it's going to be 2030 by the time we're done with everything. We're investing basically for the mid part of this century when, frankly, I may not be here anymore. When the next board decides that they want to start to look for the next phase and how they grow for our community. So it is difficult because we said, can we, buy the parcel of real estate now and say this is what we're going to build on it? Well, we don't have the funding exactly to do that. And then what if the community says no to us anyway? Then we have a parcel of land we build and we spend all this money on plans to do it. So it's an issue. Yeah, I agree with you that it's hard to sell when you don't have the exact features, which is why, frankly, we've been trying to be as open as we possibly can about, here's what we're thinking, what do you guys think? What does our community really care? And obviously, everybody here really cares, and everybody who answered the survey really cares. And I really care about all of them. I echo what Robert said. He's been to 12. I've been to all of them several times, every branch in this library over the years. And if it was up to me, we'd be building 5 new branches, but operationally, we can't do that. I don't think that's possible, so that's why we're trying to figure this out.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that to move ahead and saying, if we get the money, this is what the vision is. and, block it out over time like we did for the last bond, and what Fort Wayne Community Schools has successfully done as well, in pieces and in blocks. I mean, that would, obviously, I'm sure you're thinking about that as well. So thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next steps are, and more opportunities where we can, once we get closer to the final, to see how it looks, a combination of A and B, or who knows what. But thank you.
It's difficult to show in the material that we're presenting every iteration,
Yeah.
along the line, but there's been a lot of meetings for a long time going on, and I don't think there's anybody that's sitting on this board that hasn't had their thinking, I know I have, changed based on comments and
Right.
attending the open houses, if that makes any sense.
No, makes sense.
But we're not there, we're obviously not there yet.
Yeah, it's a
and
process. I
and
appreciate that.
Gotta have.
Okay,
hopefully
thank
some
you.
faith there.
All right, thank you. I think our next step before we open the board discussion was, are there any comments that we want to share? Who's going to be sharing those? Stephanie, you or Kurt, or?
So we do have a question from our online audience. In either plan, we're going to be losing our DuPont branch. Have you chosen possible locations for the replacement libraries?
I apologize, Stephanie, can you read that to me again?
In either plan, we're going to be losing our DuPont branch. Have you chosen possible locations for the replacement libraries?
Well, I would hate using the word losing. We're replacing and hoping to make it better is what currently the alternatives are that are out there. And the answer is, I think it's just we were discussing with Pamela, was no, we have not identified specific locations. I've certainly thought of them myself and even driven around a bit. But honestly, it's going to be based on criteria. We're going to have to identify, assuming we're moving forward with that, identify the criteria. How many spaces, what kind of size do we need, how big is the building going to be somewhat, and then identify plots of land that meet, and how close are they to everyone, walkability, just all the criteria that we outlined here, and then identify which ones meet those criteria. And then frankly, we have to pay for it and buy the property, and we don't want to be held up by having just one available. So we have to figure that out too. I think we had one more person who wanted to do public comment, or? Yep, come on up. It's, we have Lena Green, who would also like to make some comments here, and she's in the meeting. Please
Yes,
go ahead.
thank you so much. I just kind of wanted to make a little comment here. Mine is just a little differently, I guess, than from everyone else. But I hope I don't get emotional about this because it's a little bothersome to me. But I kind of want to speak a little bit regarding this censorship, or what seems to me like censorship. I'm a little disturbed about things being taken off the library shelves because it hurts feelings. If that's the case, we wouldn't have a library at all. And I'm asking you, people of the board, library managers, so forth, please, we need you to watch over all of your materials, what you have in the archives, and please stand and fight against censorship. Keep all of your materials, okay? Whether they hurt people's feelings or not. We can't erase our history or get rid of it because someone's feelings are hurt. And we don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings. That's not the point. It's just for the generations to come behind us and in front of us or whatever. We just need to know what we need to know. I've always looked forward to the library. I've always had what I needed, whatever it was. I felt like I could always go to the library, and sometimes I get a little dull when it comes to finding everything. But there was always the faithful librarian there to assist me. And I think this is kind of what what I'm asking for. I'm asking that the doors never close on the libraries, none of them at all. I know we're talking about, revamping some and so forth, but I want you to make sure and make very sure that you watch over your materials and keep them and stand as I consider you a community of knowledge. I want you to stand against censorship, and don't let anyone tell you you need to take stuff off the shelves because of whatever. You know, I just don't want that to happen. And I'm just a, you know, someone in the neighborhood that's concerned about keeping everything accessible to everyone. Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Stephanie, was there anything else online at all? Okay, thank you. Thank you all. And again, this was a presentation. We wanted to make sure we had the opportunity to listen to anybody who wanted to comment. And again, anybody out there who still wants to comment after this, emails, please put your information in at the website for any updates, but emails are available. Those do come to us, and we're trying to, and we do look at those and read those. And I guess at this point, I'd like to ask, my other fellow members of the committee were Ben and Kent, any other words that they want to talk about on the plan? And then obviously any other board members, any discussion we want to have. At this point, or it would be on March 24th, possibly we'll have further discussion as people kind of absorb some of what we just heard, but.
Well, I think in response to Pamela's question, we're all in that same boat. This is sort of like Hemingway's movable feast. And we're looking for this as an iterative process, input back and forth. Come the election, the vote in November, it'll be better refined than now. But as Marty said, the concept is that we are looking to improve the quality of the facilities that house the wonderful treasure that we currently have. That will be examined and codified better than tonight, but we're in somewhat the same boat. And thank you for your comments.
I think for me, it's just the, when I got on this committee, it was, this is going to be great. We're going to have great conversations around buildings and things along those lines, which we have. But it obviously is very, very deep in a lot of people's hearts and in their minds as to what our facilities and what our services are to the community. And so it's been wonderful to hear all this input. I have not made it through all 1,000 comments yet. I have started it and read it, and I agree with the themes that were here tonight. And I think that's what's so hard is, you know, with a community as diverse as ours, with all of the, you know, corners that we serve in the county, and looking at the growth of the county, that's what is in front of us today. And as I sit here, I think it's a lot more taxing of a task than I probably anticipated, you know, being on the committee, but I know it's the whole board that feels this right now as we're making decisions. To Marty's point, we're making the next 30-year decision here. By the time these buildings are built and they're in service for 20, 25 years, I mean, it's a 30, 35-year decision that we're trying to make, and we're trying to anticipate what that growth is here for the county, but also anticipate what the history has been to serve the communities and serve the neighborhoods and areas where we've been. All at the same time of recognizing that you have the yes and slides of people wanting the library to be everything. And the wonderful thing about it is the library has been everything for a long time, and it's really adapted programming, it's really adapted to technology, it's really adapted to lots of things while maintaining that rich history of printed material and having a large collection. And so it's how do you do the yes and all the time, but within the means that we're given as a library system. And I think that's the biggest challenge that we have in what we respond to. So I'm excited we're to this point, but I know there's nobody up here that wants to disappoint anyone. I just want to say that. We're taking it all in, but ultimately we're the ones that, I guess, get to make this decision from that standpoint after all this input is received. And so thank you for trusting us with that decision, and to our authorities who appoint us to this board. But it's a big task, and we're not taking this lightly. I think there's a lot of us that have had some nights that we've thought about this before that we didn't think would keep us up at night, but it definitely does. So.
For me, as a person born and raised in Fort Wayne, Indiana, the library has always been important, and it's heartwarming to know the impact that this project will have on this community and all of the people who are willing to speak up and speak for their own individual library and what it means to them. I think that is just so, it's surprising to me, but it reiterates and codifies in my mind that this project is needed, as the community it also realizes it's needed, and that we make sure that we provide each of the areas in Fort Wayne with the library that they want and can use for the next 30-plus years. And that is in our hearts, and yet we know we have to look at bottom line numbers, but that's where we're going to use our direction, is to make sure that each of our communities within neighborhoods in Allen County will have what they need. So all the input is very, very helpful, and it's good to hear it. Because, you know, if the libraries weren't important to us, we wouldn't have input. And that's not the case. We're hearing lots of heartfelt comments, and they mean a lot. So I want to thank those who have taken that time and others that will continue to take that time.
Any other board comments?
Any other discussion at this time? Ben, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you. Well, the special purpose of this meeting was to do exactly what we did. And since it's a single agenda item, I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, aye. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.